Peter Sam Believes, written by Daksha Studios. It was a cold winter night on the narrow gauge railway. The engines were all waiting in their sheds. "How about we tell stories to help pass the time?" said Skarloey. "Brilliant idea, Skarloey," said Rheneas. "I remember the time," said Skarloey, "when Peter Sam lost his trucks at the old iron bridge, and Duncan said they'd come to spook him and his special funnel." Skarloey told the story of how Duncan's driver and fireman had played a trick on him to make him think he'd seen a ghost, but he didn't say that he didn't say that it was a trick, but Peter Sam did. He laughed.
"Oh, and it was all a trick to pay you out, Sir Duncan,"
said Peter Sam.
"What did you say?"
said Duncan.
"It was all a trick. Well, Peter Sam,"
he said,
if you saw a ghost, you'd be even more frightened than I was. You're such a worry wheels after all." "Oh, ha 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 ha! Yes, Peter Sam, you're such a worry wheels,"
laughed Sir Handel. "I saw a ghost once," said Rheneas.
"Well, Duncan, we only did that. I only made up that story so that to pay you out,
said Rusty. Duncan continued laughing.
"Peter Sam would be so scared. Peter Sam, if I ever need to pay you out, I know exactly what to do. Ha ha ha!"
laughed Duncan. Peter Sam didn't feel happy anymore. The next day, Peter Sam wouldn't steam properly.
"Oh dear, what's wrong? I don't feel well,
said Peter Sam. "I don't know what's wrong," said the driver. Peter Sam did all his jobs that day, but when he was coming home to the shed, he said,
"I look forward to a nice rest in the shed."
"Oh, we don't have time to rest in the shade. We have to collect coaches from the other side of the old iron bridge for the morning train," said the driver. Peter Sam didn't feel happy after the mention of that name.
"Careful, Peter Sam,"
said Duncan.
"or else the ghost of yon trucks might come back to spook you and your special funnel."
"Ha ha ha!" laughed Duncan. Peter Sam puffed along. He didn't feel well. And he wasn't working properly either. He crossed the old iron bridge once.
"Oh dear, I hope my driver doesn't spook me. Duncan would never hear the end of it,"
said Peter Sam. "Oh, don't worry, you don't need paying out like Duncan did. So I promise I won't spook you," said the driver. Then Peter Sam collected the coaches for the morning train. But then, as he came closer, as he puffed along, the fog came in, and he was having trouble.
"Oh dear, I don't feel well. If I don't make this journey, I'm sure Duncan will tease me,"
said Peter Sam. Then on the old iron bridge, Peter Sam stopped.
"Maybe ghosts are interfering with my boiler,"
said Peter Sam. "Oh, I'm sure it's not ghosts."
"Oh, just as well. I probably should give up,"
said Peter Sam. Then a voice boomed. "Don't give up," said the voice. "You don't want to disappoint those morning passengers. Keep going." Then Peter Sam's fire boiler started working again.
Did you hear that? Was it a ghost? Who said that?
Said Peter Sam, confused. I don't know what I heard, and what happened I don't know. But you're working better, said the driver.
I think it was a ghost. A ghost must have helped. Encourage me,
said Peter Sam. When Peter Sam got back to the sheds, he told the others his story.
And then this voice came. I don't know who it was. It wasn't a voice I heard before,
said Peter Sam.
Well, you spooked. Ha ha,
laughed Duncan.
Well, Duncan,
said Peter Sam.
I'm not spooked because I believed a ghost. Unlike you, who was a real ghost and got spooked anyway.
said Peter Sam, remembering how scared Duncan was.
You got spooked, Duncan.
Sir Handel gave in.
Oh, Duncan, remember? Now I'm asleep.
Oh, said Duncan.